Hello everyone and welcome back to this Python programming course where you are going to learn everything you need to get started programming in Python. For the following sets of videos, we will be going through the various essential concepts of object-oriented programming. So, let's get started. So far, all the code we've written belong to the category of procedure-oriented programming, which consists of a list of instructions to tell the computer what to do. Python is a multi-paradigm programming language, which means it supports different programming approach. One different way to program in Python is object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is a programming paradigm that provides a means of structuring programs so that properties and behaviors are bundled into individual objects. An object has two characteristics: attributes, which are properties, and then behavior. For instance, an object could be represented as a person with properties like a name, age, and address, and behaviors such as walking, talking, breathing, and running. The concept of object-oriented programming in Python focuses on creating reusable code. This concept is also known as DRY, don't repeat yourself. The main concepts of object-oriented programming are class, object, methods, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance. First, we will be looking at classes. A class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. The class is a blueprint to define a logical grouping of data and functions. It provides a way to create data structures that model real-world entities. For example, we can create a people class that contains the data such as name, age, and some behavior functions to print out ages and genders of a group of people. While class is the blueprint, an object is an instance of the class with actual values. For example, a person named Iron Man with age 35. Put it in another way, a class is like a template to define the needed information, and an object is one specific copy that is filled in the template. An object is an instantiation of a class. An object consists of a state. It is represented by the attributes of an object. It also reflects the properties of an object. Let us take the example of a class dog. State or attribute can be considered as the breed, age, or color of the dog. The behavior of an object is represented by the methods of an object. It also reflects the response of an object to other objects. Let us take the example of the class dog. The behavior can be considered as whether the dog is eating or sleeping. The identity gives a unique name to an object and enables one object to interact with other objects. For example, using the class dog, the identity can be considered as the name of the dog. Then we will be looking at methods. Methods are functions defined inside the body of a class. They are used to define the behaviors of an object. For example, we consider a person representing an object. The methods of that person will be eating, sleeping, walking, and working. Next, we are going to look at inheritance. Inheritance is the capability of one class to derive or inherit the properties from another class. The class that derives properties is called the derived class or child class, and the class from which the properties are being derived is called the base class or parent class. We all human beings are a great example of a real-life inheritance. For example, father and son relationship. Here, son inherits from father physical properties, but father can't get some physical properties from the son. The benefits of inheritance are: it represents real-world relationship well, it provides the reusability of code, also it allows us to add more features to a class without modifying it. It is transitive in nature, which means that if class B inherits from another class A, then all the subclasses of B will automatically inherit from class A. Next, we are going to look at polymorphism, which is the ability to use a common interface for multiple forms. Suppose we need to color a shape, There are multiple shapes options: rectangle, square, circle. However, we could use the same method to color any shape. This concept is called polymorphism. A real-world example is, let's suppose you are in a classroom in which you behave like a student. When you are in the market, at that time, you behave like a customer. And when you are at home, you have to be like a son or a daughter. And here, one person represents the common interface for multiple forms with different behaviors. Next, as far as object-oriented programming is concerned, we will be looking at encapsulation, which is one of the fundamental concepts of OOP. It describes the idea of wrapping data and the methods that work on data within one unit. This puts restrictions on accessing variables and methods directly and can prevent the accidental modification of data. In Python, we denote private attributes using underscore as a prefix, that is single or double underscore. For example, the television is loaded with different functionalities that we don't know because they are completely hidden. With this, I have just gone through a run-up of what we will be looking at as far as object-oriented programming is concerned. So, key points to remember is that object-oriented programming makes the program easy to understand as well as efficient. Since the class is shareable, the code can be reused. And then polymorphism allows the same interface for different objects, so programmers can write efficient code. This is basically it for this introductory video on object-oriented programming. In our next video, we are going to look at objects and classes in Python. So, see you soon.